Hey, my name is James Nicholson and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about the government's spending review. There's some big stuff in here that's going to hit the property market. I'm going to tell you about why Rachel Reeves is encouraging certain landlords to increase rent by more than inflation, what impact that will have on the private rental sector, and is this good for landlords and tenants, or is it really another round of bad news? Now, if you're new around here and you haven't done already, do make sure you subscribe to the channel over there and hit that bell notification. We've got new property content every single day. We give you market updates, interest rate updates, house price updates, and we talk about property investing. And let's get some views on this video. How do we do that? Smash like, tickle like, do something to that like button. That helps with the YouTube algorithm, and that's really helped the channel grow. So thanks to everybody that does that. So the government has today announced their spending review, and there's some real winners and there's some real losers in today's stuff. Now, I'm going to focus on the property market, hence we are a property channel after all. And there's some interesting stuff in there where the government are encouraging landlords to increase rents. They talk about social housing and their plan in order to build more social housing than ever before. They're nearly doubling the budget on the social housing side. And so we want to have a look at what impact that is going to have on the property world. And so first off, I want to talk about social housing rents. So social housing rents. And so social housing rents, the government is encouraging you, if you're a landlord, to put this up 1% above inflation for 10 years. They're going to allow people to do that. And that's because not many people necessarily want to be a social housing provider. And so the goal of this is to bring more landlords into the social housing sector. Now, interestingly, they also talked about cutting spend on immigrant hotels. And that's one major reason they're going to need more social housing to fill that. And that makes sense. Like, if you've got the people here already, then you want to cut the costs. Having them in a hotel is very expensive. So let's move them into rented accommodation. But I know you're going to go crazy in the comments about that statement. But we've also got a lot of people that were born here that are also on massive social housing waiting lists. And in some areas, for example, there are boroughs of London where the social housing waiting list is more than 30 years. More than 30 years. So the government's looking to do whatever they can to build more social housing and to bring more landlords across. Now, what's this going to do to the private rental sector? Because this is definitely going to have an impact. What ultimately it will do is it will shrink it a little bit more. And so that will mean that you'll get landlords that were doing private rental stuff, potentially tempted by these government social contracts and might move people across. That means there will be less private rental properties. And with all of the stuff that's going on, you've got the renters' rights bill, you've got the EPC stuff going on, you've got a private rental sector that is shrinking, and this could potentially lead to more shrinkage in that area, and that will drive up rents. You've also got the fact that landlords, if you have social housing, you're going to be able to put your property rent up each year by whatever the CPI inflation is and 1% on top, and you can do that for the next 10 years. Now, that's quite attractive. That means you're going to guarantee that you're going to increase your rent over time, which is positive if you're a landlord. And that means that also, to compete with that, private rents will also go up as well. I can see this being something that you'll see. And it's strange language coming out of the government where they're talking about helping people and making things more affordable, but yet they're squeezing that rental sector even more. So what else did they talk about? Well, they talked about social housing and how they're going to build a lot more properties. Now, we've heard this before, but they're going to spend 39 billion. I think we need a new pen for the next video. Let me know in the comments if you agree with that. But yeah, they're going to spend 39 billion over 10 years. So that equates to 3.9 billion per year. Easy math on that one. What are they spending right now? 2.5 billion. So it's not double, but it's close. And that is a big increase in spending. And fair play, if that happens, which that's what we've got to look at here, does this actually happen? But if it does happen, that is going to help somewhat to reduce those social housing waiting lists and to support the people that need those properties and that accommodation, because the waiting lists are out of control and there are millions and millions of people. Now, where are they going to focus this social housing initially? Well, they've got 4 areas. First off is Blackpool. So they're going to focus on Blackpool. And that's good because if you've been to Blackpool, which I have on a stag do many moons ago, it's not particularly a great area and it does need to be brought back up to a nice standard, and having some projects up there should help that area. So Blackpool is one area they're looking at. Next is Preston. So another area that could do with some investment. Next is Sheffield. So that will bring those areas up. And lastly is Swindon. Terrible geography. I think that's southwest, right? So they're trying to put some of it in the south as well. So look, that's potentially a good thing, and that will help. Other things that they're looking to spend money on, if you didn't see in the news already, is another 29 billion per year on the NHS. I think that's great. I think the NHS is a very important thing in our country, and if we can get waiting lists down and people seen quicker, that's positive. Artificial intelligence, they want to spend 2 billion a year. That's good because look, whether artificial intelligence, you agree with it or not, it's here and other countries are going to take advantage of that. And it would make sense that we try and be a leader in the world on AI. Law and order, they're going to spend 2 billion extra on that, which they're saying would give us 13,000 extra police officers and 14,000 extra places in prison. Wonderful. So more people going to go to prison. Great. Winter fuel. This is a good U-turn. I think this is good. Yes, they've got to eat a little bit of humble pie, but they did the winter fuel turn. That's going to cost them 1.2 billion. I think that's great. An extra 11 billion on defence. Asylum hotels, they're going to start winding those down over the next 4 years and get people moved into accommodation. Now, property channel, that is an opportunity if you are that type of landlord. Lots of people do that kind of stuff. Serco are clearly going to make a lot of money. I don't know if you can buy shares in them, but it could be a good option. Schools, they're going to spend 4.5 billion. My little girl, Emily, is just about to go to school in September. And I think it's important that they're going to be spending money on people with universal credit getting free school meals. That's good. I think that is important that kids get fed properly. Transport, 15 billion they're going to spend on that. A lot of that is north of London. You've got the Midlands and Greater Manchester, Tyne and Wear and Oxford as well. And capping bus fares as well. And also 86 billion to be spent on drugs, treatment, science, finding out about drugs, and also longer lasting batteries for EV cars. That could potentially be a sector that, if we can get that working, could be something that we could export all around the world. So in short, what they're saying is, look, we are going to give landlords more money and more incentives to become a social housing landlord. That's going to, in short, help them with their social housing problem, but it's not going to be good for the private rental sector. I think rents will increase there. If you've got the social rents going up, you're definitely going to see private rents going up. And the government is effectively giving you permission to do that. So that's not going to help with bringing rents down anytime soon. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's news. Do smash like, do subscribe, do check out all the other content as well on the channel, including this video right here.